Hello again. Welcome to IGIT show.
Welcome again to IGIT show. As we promise you, we will continue our recommendations and programs for learning English and how it would be so easy for you to master English language. Today we have one of the newly joined teachers. He spent 5 years in US. He has just arrived and he had his MA in EFL, although English was his major challenge before he traveled. Let's know something about his story with learning English. Hello, Mr. Osama.
Hello, Mr.
I knew that you have just arrived from US after 5 years of work and study there.
Right? Yes, sure. It was a very exciting journey.
Would you tell us a brief idea about it, please?
Actually, before I had this journey, I had many problems in learning English, especially in communication. I had a long story with learning English. I tried different schools in Saudi Arabia here, but there was a kind of, there were some problems that faced me when I was there.
So you had trouble with learning English before you traveled?
Yes.
So, what are the most common mistakes that English learners make? Which mistakes do most English learners need to correct in order to learn English much faster?
Well, first of all, while we studied English here in Saudi Arabia, they taught us English through grammar. So we didn't learn how to communicate with the native speakers or to express ourselves. So this is the main difficulty.
Here are the top 5 English learning mistakes. Number 1. Focusing on grammar.
Second, they didn't put us in natural environment to practice the language freely and easily. So there was a kind of forcing us to speak when we don't have anything in mind.
Another mistake is forcing speech. Both English students and teachers try to force speech before the learner is ready. The result is that most students speak English very slowly, with no confidence and no fluency. Forcing speech is a huge mistake. Don't force speech. Focus on listening and be patient. Speak only when you are ready to speak, when it happens easily and naturally. Until then, never force it.
Third, native speakers there in the United States, they did not use the language that we learned in textbooks. Otherwise, they use slang language, everyday language. So this is one of the problems that faced me while studying there in the US.
A third mistake: learning only formal textbook.
You know, when using a language, never try to be perfect in your communication or in your speech. This problem actually, to filter the language you speak or to try to just focus on mistakes that you did in grammatical mistakes and other mistakes. This will hinder you from producing the language. So this is also, you can say, a big problem in
trying to be perfect. This is the fourth mistake. Students and teachers often focus on mistakes. They worry about mistakes. They correct mistakes. They feel nervous about mistakes. They try to speak perfectly. No one, however, is perfect. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. You will too. Instead of focusing on the negative, focus on communication. Your goal is not to speak perfectly. Your goal is to communicate. Communicate ideas, information, and feelings in a clear and understandable way. Focus on communication. Focus on the positive. You will automatically improve your mistakes in time.
So, never try to be perfect, because even the native speakers themselves commit many mistakes during their utterance, during their conversation.
Relying on English schools. Is it right? Let's see.
Learners of language are mistaken when they think that schools can teach them English. They should depend on themselves, listening too much to English sketches, to BBC, CNN, and other channels, so they can improve. You know, listening comes first, then speaking, as a child when he acquires his mother tongue. You know, we were mistaken to think that English schools can teach us communication and can teach us English for spoken language in, in the United States or any other country.
No teacher can make you learn. You only you can do it. While these mistakes are very common, the good news is that you can correct them. When you stop making these mistakes, you change the way you learn English. You learn faster, your speaking improves, you enjoy learning English.
So, Mr. Osama, what would you advise the young learners here according to your experience?
Don't focus on grammar while you speak. Communicate freely. Don't look back to your mistakes, grammatical mistakes. Just express yourself. Put yourselves in real life situations. Listen first, then speak. Read, then write. Don't depend on textbooks while you speak. Nothing is perfect. Don't try to be perfect in producing language. English schools can help you but you have to depend on yourself again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Osama, for your top 5 English learning mistakes.
Thank you.
So please stop these mistakes. One, focusing on grammar. 2, forcing speech. 3, learning only formal textbook. 4, trying to be perfect. 5. Relying on English schools.
So practice listening, practice speaking, practice reading, and practice writing.
With our wishes
and our promise
to meet again
with IGIT,
you will gain.